Born in January of 1959 in New York, Joel Rifkin is an American serial killer who is currently serving life in prison for the murders of 9 women between 1989 and 1993. He was raised by a couple in Long Island, who adopted Rifkin a few months after he was abandoned by his birth mother. In school, Joel had problems fitting in with the other students and became a frequent target for bullies. They would exclude him from team sports and neighborhood games because of his sloppy posture and lack of social skills. Suffering from undiagnosed dyslexia, he also struggled academically despite his IQ of 128. As Rifkin drifted into his teenage years, his social anxiety continued to develop. He started running track with hopes of making friends, but the other students found different ways to torment Rifkin. Frustrated with athletics, he joined the yearbook staff. His camera was immediately stolen, and Rifkin was excluded from the rap party at the end of the year. The mistreatment eventually drove him into depression, and Joel began retreating to his own disturbed world. By 1972, inspired by the Hitchcock film Frenzy, Rifkin became obsessed with strangling women and started to fantasize about stabbing prostitutes.
What's that round her neck?
She's been strangled.
Looks like a tie.
Yes, it's a tie, all right. Another necktie murder.
Around the same time, his parents bought Joel his first car. Rifkin began using the vehicle to troll for women outside of Long Island, finding his way to Manhattan and other parts of New York. His passion for chasing prostitutes would increase as he began college in 1977. His obsession drained Rifkin of what little money he had until dropping out of school in 1984, when he moved back into his parents' house in Long Island. By March of 1989, Rifkin could no longer fight the violent fantasies. He waited for his mother to leave on a business trip and then picked up a young prostitute and brought the woman back to his Long Island home, where he bludgeoned her to death. He then dismembered the corpse and hid the prostitute's severed head in an old paint can. He placed the rest of her body into trash bags before dumping the woman's remains in New Jersey. Despite Rifkin's elaborate efforts to conceal the vicious crime, a member of a local golf club discovered the prostitute's severed head several days later. Police were unable to uncover the victim's identity or who was responsible for the murder. 1 year later, Rifkin claimed his second victim, once again waiting until his mother was out of town so he could pick up another prostitute to bring back to his Long Island home. The next morning, Rifkin tortured the woman for several hours before strangling her to death. He dismembered the corpse as before, but this time Joel placed the body parts in buckets weighted with concrete and tossed the remains into the East River. Over a course of 5 years, Rifkin would go on to strangle and dismember 17 women, most of whom were street prostitutes. Police were rarely able to identify the victims, and since all of the women were considered low priority, there was little that could be done without proof of a suspect. Until a few months later, when Rifkin was discovered by officers missing a rear license plate on the back of his truck. When police attempted to pull Joel over, he began a high-speed chase and crashed his truck into a utility pole. As troopers approached the vehicle, they detected a strong odor from the back of the truck and quickly identified the decomposing remains of Rifkin's final victim. Detectives in New York began interrogating Joel Rifkin on June the 28th, 1993. He described all 17 murders in detail, writing out the names he remembered, and even sketching maps to help police find victims who were still missing. The next day, Rifkin appeared before a judge with the plea of not guilty. On May the 9th, 1994, Rifkin was sentenced to 25 years to life for murder. He was transferred to Suffolk County Jail, where he pleaded guilty to 2 more counts of murder. Joel received 2 more consecutive terms of 25 years to life in prison. By January 1996, Rifkin was sentenced to serve at least 183 years for 7 slayings. That same year, prison officials decided that Rifkin's presence at the prison was disruptive, and he was placed in solitary confinement at the Attica Correctional Facility for 23 hours a day. He is currently serving 203 years in the Clinton Correctional Facility, where he will be eligible for parole at the age of 238.